Hi, and welcome to Sunday Night Charts. We take a look at charts to help you with the trading week ahead. I'm your host, Steven Van Metre. Let's get right into this. The moving averages, colors on your screen, 50 days green, 100 days blue, 200 days tan. Price versus momentum. Price is a general direction prices are headed. Momentum is a rate of change, a bullish indicator for both is positive and bearish indicator for both is negative. Momentum often, but not always, leads price. Technical analysis attempts to determine where buyers and sellers are at. Resistance is the level sellers can't break, and support is the level sellers can't break, or resistance is where sellers are at, and support is where buyers are at. Technical analysis does not predict prices. It can be used to determine the risk of trade, help with timing trade, and provide direction to the path of least resistance. Charting offers possibilities, not probabilities, and not certainties. Let's get right into the S&P 500. Virtually unchanged for the week. We'll change here on the annual momentum on the short term. Not really a big deal. Everything on the bottom, we got 1, 3, 6, 9 month. All of these screens are green. Let's take a look at what's going on in the S&P, because that doesn't tell the entire story here. We've got the volume profile up here. We are on S&P 500, and you can see, let's zoom in a little bit to the 6 month, and you see it's bouncing, or trying to bounce off of this bit of volume right here at 417. And there's a bit of volume here that's holding this up, but it goes up, comes down, up, comes down. The question is, can the S&P now break again for another move higher next week? Will this act as support? It's looking like support right now. That's positive. If not, remember, we got the 50-day moving average rising, coming up from there. Maybe it goes sideways and catches it. Major support is still way down here at 390. On to the QQQ, Nasdaq 100, a little bit of a change. Ultra short-term flip bearish, not a big deal. The intermediate term, that on momentum, that is kind of an issue here. We got annual momentum, bearish, bearish, bearish between ultra short-term and intermediate term. But the other momentum screens, which are really positive, are green, and that is a good sign. Let's take a look at the Qs and see if there's something different going on here. And there is something different, because unlike the S&P 500, which is finding support on its volume, the Qs are finding resistance at its volume. So here you go. Resistance is the level buyers can't break, or where sellers are at. So you're seeing sellers up here despite some breakout earnings from Apple, Microsoft, Google, all the big tech companies just giving investors what they want. Apparently, it also comes with sellers. So right now, the direction for the Qs, unless it gets some big push in the overnight, for Sunday going into Monday, the natural direction here appears to come back down to the next level of support would be 324. On to IWM, the small caps. Now, the chart here really does not give this justice, because you got to look at this and say, wow, price is bullish and momentum's nearly bullish. All the longer term momentums are bullish. This is great. I mean, this is exactly what you want. But the chart is telling us a completely different story. I mean, it looks like you've got a left shoulder head, right shoulder potential top here, but you've got a double bottom beneath that. And you've got a lot of volume right here at 320, what is it, 320, 382. A lot of volume. Sellers clearly above that level. Buyers clearly below that level. This is not a bullish pattern. It's neither bearish. I mean, it's more bearish than bullish, but at this time, it's undecided. See, will this line of volume act as support? Buyers are hoping so. Otherwise, then we know all this up here clearly is sellers. And that's what the challenge is with technical analysis. You start to see something, and you can say, hey, this is bullish, double bottom. But you can also say head and shoulders reversal. This is bearish. You have to let the chart then make the direction so you can trade accordingly. On to the energy sector, which looks extremely bullish here. We got the ultra short-term back bullish, short-term, it can be bearish, no big change there. One momentum is red. That's not really a big deal. Let's go take a look at XLE here. Where's XLE? There it is. And after dipping below its 50-day moving average, remember we thought last week could go down, tag the 100-day moving average, maybe pick up this level of volume support, which is now moving down a bit into here. It didn't. It found buyers pretty quick. Is now looking just like IWM here. You could see that we know sellers have been up here in this 49 plus range, and it's just below its 50-day moving average. It's trying to find higher. Will it hold support at $49 a share? Where all this volume is at? Are these where the buyers are at? Well, that is the real question for the energy sector. But let's look at crude, because crude's saying, yeah, this is good. I mean, you can see crude hit his 50-day moving average, which is bullish, broke down below, looked like it was going to head lower. Then all of a sudden, inventory reports drove it up, came back down, confirmed 50-day, and drove it back up. And now all this volume here on crude is acting as support, suggesting the crude could go higher, which would then in turn make you go back to XLE up here and say, yeah, this is where support's at. Price is probably going higher. That's the way I would look at it. All right, on to financials, which is interesting that this is nothing but green, as people think banks are going to be making massive amounts of money on lending when consumers and businesses are paying their loans off. And that's not bullish for bank stocks at all, but nevertheless, bank stocks are clearly bounced off support, shot higher. Now remember, these generally trade inverse to bond prices. Bond prices looking to kind of try to rally back. Question is, will that take all this air out of this move in financials? But otherwise, it's bullish. It's at its all-time highs as lending is contracting. That's one for you. How about the utility sector? Let's take a look. Nothing really changing on that, but the charts on the utilities have been pretty more interesting than anything. And look at there, it came back down, bounced off of support where there's a little bit of volume. Let's zoom out to the 1 year. There's not a lot of volume support here, but we've seen support there in the past. Bounced off that. Now what was resistance here at, say, 65.32 is now support. Tells you that utilities should make a run back to $68. That's what it tells you. All right, on to the industrial sector. All green there. Of course, that's been just following the major indices. How about large gold miners? Not such a pretty picture here. Now, we did get some momentum changes here. The 1 and 3 month are green. 6 month is negative and rising. 9 month is negative and falling. 12 month is negative and rising. So there's some good signs here, especially when the longer term momentum signals are up. And the momentum's clearly saying, be careful here. And price on the ultra short term, not a big deal. They did flip, but the long term did. Let's take a look at GDX and see what's going on. And is this as bullish as perhaps some people think? The answer I'm going to say is no, because it came up, hit resistance right in the $36 to almost $37 range, completely rejected there at just as it was looking to break out higher up into the 38, 39 range. And now you've got overhead, look at all that heavy trading volume at 35. That's telling you sellers are above here. The path for GDX is this 50-day moving average and this major support line at 33.50 is where GDX is likely headed next. How about emerging markets? This was really bullish, then started looking bearish, and well, it's kind of looking bullish again. Nothing really changed here. I think the 3 month momentum, I think that changed a little bit, but nothing major. And let's go on to EEM. And now we see, again, a similar story here. We have a 50-day moving average rolling over, heading lower. Price is now below the 50-day, but it's been finding support at the 100-day. And look at where all this trading volume is at. See, it's at 54. It's right in here, 54. It means above that, people are selling. If you see this thing break below the 100-day moving average, then you know this is all selling. The chart pattern is bearish, and perhaps what you're seeing here in all the other signals are a little bit lagging what the direction is going to be. All right, let's go on to high yield bonds. Nothing but bullish here. I didn't even think the momentum signals, the 1 month flip back. Not a big deal if you see the 1 month changing. But wow, look, price almost all bullish, and momentum all bullish. And let's go to wherever high yield bonds disappeared to. They are right here. And yeah, now that all that trading volume, see that there at 87, which was kind of acting as resistance. See, we know sellers have been above 87 up here to almost 88. But now it's looking like that 87 price range is looking like support. So the buyers are winning here. The question is, do they have the momentum, or are the sellers just waiting for them to get up here and then sell down again? So far, this looks bullish. How about the long bond, TLT, long-term treasury bonds, and of course, bond with Bond King's favors, ultra short-term flipped. Everything else almost stayed the same. The 6 and 9 month flip position. 6 month is now negative and falling. 9 month is negative and rising. Otherwise, one of the keys that I'm looking for when you see a big sell-off anything is what's going on with this 12-month momentum. If it's negative and rising, yeah, you almost got to take a flyer on that. All right, take a look at TLT. And this is interesting because it crossed the 50-day. You can see it. Let's zoom in a little bit. And so we can see it a little bit easier. It crossed the 50-day, but the 50-day was downward sloping. So I wasn't surprised when it hit resistance and sold down. But what happened is you now have what looks like a head and shoulders reversal. So you have a left shoulder here, a head here, and a right shoulder here. And notice how the left shoulder and the right shoulder are nearly bottom at the same area. Now it closed above its 50-day moving average. It's got over in the 6 month. You can see there's a lot of shares traded here. If this is indeed a bottom, this would be consistent of where you would see the trading volume. This is what a head and shoulders bottom should look like. And so if this indeed is buyers up here at 139.55, you're going to see price pulled back up there, and then a breakout of that takes you up to 152. And with the 50-day moving average starting to slow down its curve and look to bottom out over the next week or two, that's a real positive sign for this being a reversal in the bond market, something the equity market is not expecting. How about gold futures? This is not that pretty. Kind of suggesting that GDX is headed lower. Look at that 1 month momentum is red, 9-12 as red as well, negative and falling. Is not good. Let's take a look. I mean, it's not good if you're bullish on gold. Now, if you're bullish on bonds and you think gold needs to go down so there can be a liquidity crisis, well, then, yeah, you're all on board with that. Let's take a look at gold. It came up, hit resistance at 1,800, couldn't do it, and now it's rolling down. Next level of support, 1,750. If you just keep zooming out, you see this really does look topish. If this thing breaks through 1,750, then you've got the next level of support is 17. You're going to be right here around 1727. And then the ultimate break will be that 1687. You break that, this whole thing is now validated as a topping pattern. But the fact that it bounced off 1800 and didn't get a go tells you 1750 is where gold is headed. That's not bullish. That means GDX is headed lower. How about silver? Normally you'd think these two would follow each other, but silver's been holding up really, really well. A lot of people are really bullish on silver. And let's take a look at silver futures here, sitting right between, a zone of sellers up here and a zone of buyers down here, kind of right into this heavy volume where the battle is being waged. And it's kind of a no man's land, or no trader's land, maybe we'll call it no trader's land. They're in the middle duking it out. To the victor, get the spoils that the buyer's going to hold out here and get up to 27, then they can get their breakout. If the sellers went out, this thing's headed back to 25. This one's way too tough to even have an opinion on, given what you're seeing there. And let's see what we have left as the dollar, which did break down, much to the dollar prince's disappointment. But he assures me this party is not over for the dollar anytime soon, unchanged in between price and annual momentum. But boy, these longer term signals, the 1 month momentum is red, 9, 12. I mean, this is not a surprise. 1 month went red, 9, 12. Oof, not good. 3 and 6 month, I think, switched, but that doesn't matter. The chart, well, it's not as bad as it looks, because all it did from the dollar's perspective is it went down to 90.50. And I said, hey, look, if it breaks down here, that's where the major support is at. You can pretty much now take this line away as far as I'm concerned. I'm not big on diagonals, but you can take that away, and shot right up, bounced off of support. Now tells you the dollar's biggest headwind is 50-day moving average. If you're bullish on the dollar, you want to see it get up and kind of run right into its 200-day moving average. If you're bearish, you want that 50-day to act as a gigantic roadblock. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm your host, Steve Van Metre. We'll see you Monday for the macro show. Have a great weekend. Bye now. Content of this video is provides educational information, only is not intended to provide investment or other advice. Serials not to be construed as recommendation or solicitation, buyer selling security, financial instrument, or participate in a particular trading strategy. This video was prepared by Steven Van Metre, person capacity. Opinions expressed this video that I do not reflect the view of Atlas Financial Advice Inc. or Steven Van Metre Financial.